Hey guys, this is Jordi from Thor3dprinting.com. Today I want to show you a extruder that I actually remixed from the Mark II extruder from the Prusa I3 Mk.2. And so this is the parts right here that you can, I'm gonna add a link to the Thingiverse remix that I made. I already posted in Thingiverse. And again, I didn't change much. The only thing I changed is the width of the hole that captures the wires, and I put another part, another piece, so you can put an 8mm proximity sensor, which they're 18 millimeters diameter. So with that being said, I'm going to tell you now what you're going to require to assemble these. This is again a copy or a remix of the i3 Mk.2 extruder, so you can put on any type Prusa machine. Anyway, so you're going to need a J-head, a E3D V6 copy, or an original. Again, I will go with the original, but they're a little expensive, so this one is just a clone. They already come with everything that you're gonna need. You're gonna need an 8mm sensor, of course. They're gonna remember they're 18mm diameter. This one is a 5 volt to 36 volts. Usually they start at 6 volts to 36 volts, which forces you to put 12 volts to it for make it work from the power supply. But this particular one I found on AliExpress, and it started at 5 volts, and they were made for a university, so they have a bunch of extra ones. You might want to check that out. You're gonna need 4 printed parts, of course. Is the idler, your fan duct, the cover, and the body. And you're also gonna need, of course, screws, bolts, and nuts. So anyways, you're gonna need some bolts and you're gonna need some nuts. So your nuts first. You're gonna need 4 square M3 nuts. You're gonna need 4 M3 regular nuts. You're gonna need 1 NEMA motor, NEMA 17, preferably with the D shaft, so you can just, when you set the set screw, it's sitting against something flat instead against something curved, and that will actually that will keep this tighter. Anyways, of course you're gonna need a gear for your filament. You cannot just put any gear, it has to be a Mark 8 gear. I haven't tried it with the teeth one, like with the geared one, but this one's with the indentation work perfectly. This is what Prusa uses too. We're gonna use a 625ZZ. This is super important. Do not order the ones that say 2Z or just 625Z. I have run into all of them that I have ordered 4 different bags, and they keep on sending me the wrong ones. And the problem with that is when you have a Z or two Z's, the diameter in the center will not actually allow these to be put in there, so you're gonna have to try to pressure it, and then you'll end up breaking the bearing. So again, make sure you get a 625ZZ. You're gonna need a 16mm piece of M5 smooth rod. You're gonna need an M8 washer. I know whereas it was an M8, if you're doing this thing in here on an M5, because I only need this for space to guide. Prusa is actually captures a very nice bearing, but I couldn't find them, so this was my solution to it. So let's go now through all the beautiful bolts and nuts that you're gonna need. You're gonna need 4 you're gonna need 5 actually of the 16mm M3s. You're gonna need 2 20mm M3 bolts. You're gonna need a 1 25mm bolt and 2 30mm bolts, 40mm bolt. You're gonna need 3 of those. All of these bolts that I just mentioned are M3. You can use whichever head you like. I like the socket head. And you're gonna need 2 springs. Alright, so let's get this bad boy built. So the first thing I want you to grab is the cover, and I want you to grab the extruder body. That's my duck, and that's my daughter, peoples. So have fun. Anyways, so the first thing I want you to grab. Alright, so let's get this bad boy built. The first thing I want you to grab is the extruder body and the cover for the body. Alright, you're gonna put this one to the side meanwhile. So, you're gonna need your regular nuts and your square nuts. Remember, all M3. And I'm just gonna use another part right here to show you how to capture. And this is an old part I printed a long time ago. But anyways, I'm just gonna put this to the side and show you how it's done. We're gonna start with a hex. Alright? your hex goes in 4 different places. 2 on the body, and 2 in the cover. Alright? So I'm just gonna put them in the body. I already showed you the spots where they, but I'm gonna put 1. So just wanted to let you know. I want you to grab the hex knot, and I want you to just drop it in the little spaces that look like the nuts, you know. And you're gonna notice that they're gonna be a little loose in there, and you're gonna wonder, well, how am I gonna hold that? Well, you don't have to. What you're gonna do is you're gonna push it with your finger in. You're gonna grab a bolt, preferably a small one, and I'll thread it. A 16 or a 20 will do. And you're gonna just grab the bolt and start going through it until it catches the knot. Now, usually because this is a little tighter, I will have to hold it. I'm not, just to show you. Once it grabs the thread, and I'm gonna show you here live what happens. As you start tightening the bolt, the nut begins to move down until you can tighten no more. Don't go too far. Right now it's just snugged again, remember. We don't want to break any of our parts. And then you just remove the bolt. Right? I'm not gonna leave the bolt, doesn't matter really right now. But okay, so I'm gonna show you now how to do this next. However, before we're done, I wanna show you the nuts in there already captured now, okay? So we're now gonna show you the spots where you're gonna put the square ones. All the square guns will just go in the body, on the extruder body. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright? And all you got to do again, put them in there. Grab a flat head screwdriver. I'm using a file, I know it, but it's the exact same diameter, so I like it. Plus it's an old one I have, an extra one I have. And then you're just gonna push in the nut all the way in. Make sure it's all the way flush, until you are able to see the actual nut, and then you want to make sure that you can see the holes. Alright? So once that's done, your part should look like these. Your cover will have 1, 2, just like I said. Your body will have 1, 2, and then you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 square knots. So we're just going to put this to the side for a little bit, and we're going to build our idler. This is our idler cover. This is the thing that pushes against the gear that's going to push the filament down. So for this part of the build, you're going to need your 625ZZ, your small 16 millimeters M5 smooth rod, and your washer. Again, remember, 625ZZ. If it's 625Z or 2Z, the inner diameter is like 0.001 less than what you need. So this thing will not go in. You're gonna force it in, and you're gonna end up breaking the bearings. Remember, 625ZZ. Anyway, so you're just gonna grab your little piece of M5, gonna put it through the bearing. Doesn't matter which side, you're gonna just put the washer. Remember the oversized washer, and that's the reason I said oversized. Everybody's like, well, it's gonna be loose. Yes, unless you can get a M8 size washer that has an M5 hole in the center, that will probably work way better. But I have a hard time finding one. Anyways, just gonna put it on either side. And for good measure, I'm gonna show you just where you should put it. The washer should go on the side of the nut. One of them is going to be out and one of them is going to be in. So just put the washer on the side of the nut. I noticed that every time I have done that, I actually have ended up just going to put it together and push it in, and I end up with the thing, with the actual bearing on top of the hole perfectly. You're going to make sure that they're aligned and that they're working fine. As you can even tell, this is an old print. You can tell the layers, and this is the prints that I do now. Anyways, so you're gonna put this here, and you're gonna make sure now that the bearing is square with the hole. Right? Again, don't worry about the washer. The washer is there just to give the bearing spacing. Prusa's bearings are captured. They're beautiful, but I'm having a hard time finding them. Anyway, so you're just gonna put it right there. You're gonna make sure, again, square to the hole. You can tell it is. So that's already done. So now let's move down to building the actual body. You're going to take your J-head, okay? Your J-head should already be wired, your sensor should already be in. Again, if you get the chance to find these little studded ones, they have the little M3 thread on them. So where the set screw, where your sensor used to be on the clones, or in the E3D, just not in the E3D, actually they come with this, just like Prusa's, and it's because the method is so much better. Anyways, so you want your heater wires and your thermistor to come away from your sensor. Okay, that's how you want it to seat. And again, if you haven't, like, if you're wondering, you just put the sensor, and then you know where this is gonna go, right? I'm gonna save the sensor until the end. I usually put it earlier, but I'm gonna save it until the end because I got a little trick of how to put it in here, and so make it easier because I made the sensor bigger, the nuts were also bigger. Anyways, you're gonna remove the washers out of that, by the way. Don't worry about the washers, all you need is both of the nuts that come with it. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and put the J-head, set it there, and we're gonna grab our cover. On our cover, this little lip goes right beside the sensor. Alright, and you're gonna make sure that it's square. Don't worry about, man, because we're gonna tighten it down, and once it's tightened down, then you'll notice that once it's actually tightened, it won't stop moving, so that's when we know it's good. Anyways, and now the fun part of these, you're gonna grab a single 20, and you're gonna need a 25. The 25 and the 20, right? The 25 goes in this side, sorry, the 20 goes on this side, on the sensor side, and the 25 goes on the outside, towards the wires of the heater. Alright, just gonna grab your bolt, shove it in there real quick, and tighten it up. Now these, I'm not gonna just be like, I have another one built, because I literally want to make sure that you're tightening this properly and that you're not over tightening it. Do not over tighten the parts, it's not necessary. Once again, there's no, then we'll measure to make sure that everything is good and square. But right now, again, it's just enough to keep everything together from falling apart as you're building it, right? So, okay, so next I'm gonna grab my 25 again right here, you see? This is my 25, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in there. This is the only 25 that you should have on this whole build. I already gave you the parts, so it wouldn't be too hard to find. It's a 5mm smaller than the 30 and the 5mm bigger than the 20. Anyways, so as you see, those are the ones that actually secure the head, right? So the head is actually like already tight, and I haven't even tightened them down. So it's a really good build, and it's really tight build. Anyways, so before I tighten those I'm gonna show you now how you're gonna have to put the motor. This will be a really good time to put the motor because you want to capture all the wiring. If you hold that until the end, like most of the extruders that you build, then you end up with a problem trying to put in the wires or trying to place them properly. So, as I said earlier, I already mounted my gear, and again, against the D shaft, I put my set screw. And now I'm gonna make sure that the wires of the motor are pointing down. Alright, I'm just gonna put it right there. Don't worry about these bolts, because this bolt is actually also attached to the carriage. The longest bolt you're gonna need, you don't need right now, one of those 40s is actually to attach the entire thing. But you don't need it right now, again, as I said. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put right here, right? It's gonna go one of your 30s. The one that actually can go into the hole, and it's gonna leave 5mm or 3mm, in between 5 or 4 to leave to actually grab the motor. So we're gonna go ahead and put that one in right there, right? And that one is the first swinging part of our motor. I'm gonna go ahead and run it all the way. Remember, you don't wanna have extra thread here. You don't wanna put washers on it. You wanna have these bolts measured because this is gonna sit flat against the carriage. That's why the Prusa makes such beautiful prints, because there is no errors. Like, there is very little tolerance in the extruder, even made out of plastic parts. So once you have this out, okay, you can see it right there. Again, I'm just gonna sit the motor there so I can know that I'm tightening it in. I'm gonna make sure everything's square, blah 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 blah, all that good stuff. And now I'm gonna make sure that it goes in there. So there, you see how it sits. Wires to the bottom towards the bottom of the extruder, and that's what I was telling you. These wires are captured here. That's what you know. You want to put the motor now. All right, and I'm going to grab this little bad boy and I'm going to tighten it in. Again, don't over tighten anything yet. We're not quite there yet. So now the motor can actually move a little bit, and this right there. So now we're going to go ahead and put an idler. Your idler is going to sit right here, and you're also going to need another 30 just to set that in, going completely across. Again, these are the two 30s that you're going to be using. So this is my other 30. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that's the correct bolt. Again, we're going to have a bunch of little bolts, you know, so make sure that you are putting the ones, because that's the thing that when I learned how to build these the first time, 8-9 months ago, which actually no, it was when Prusa came out with the first one. I built a couple of them with a friend of mine, and then we took these down and rebuilt it a couple times just to learn the process, because I found it fascinating. But actually, Adam, we rebuilt a couple parts of the machine just a couple times just to make sure that we were building it straight and everything. But so yeah, so again, that's why I gave you the list. Make sure that you have all those bolt sizes. Don't try to cut them, just get the right ones, so you don't end up with extra threads. So as you see right here, the gear is sitting square with the hole, and my bearing is sitting square with the gear. So now I know, and the hole. So now I know when the filament goes into that little hole, because that's the only guide, that's where the filament goes. It's going to be guided directly into the oversized hole beneath it that will find it onto the J head. So again, now we've done that. As I told you, this is a fairly simple build. It's just a little intimidating when you get all the parts. You know, it's maybe a Prusa, you don't want to disappoint them. Anyways, so now we're going to go ahead and make sure that this is square, right? Because now we're actually going to tie these down. You want to make sure that the two first ones that we put that actually tighten the hot end, we're going to go ahead and tie those two down and make sure that they're on beneath the actual plastic wheel or flush, because we're going to put a fan in front here and it's going to have to sit flush against the body. So we tie those two, we make sure that they're nice and snug. Don't over tighten anything. Remember, you're working with soft materials. I mean, this is not steel, this is plastic. Most of them are carbonates, sorry, polycarbonates and so on. Anyways, so now that it is built, next step you're gonna do, let's go ahead and mount the sensor just to get it out of the way and know how much space we're gonna have to mess with the wiring. So this one has a nifty trick. Again, as I say, I made these models, so this was not made for these. This is like 10 millimeters bigger, like literally a centimeter bigger, wider than the other ones. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab this nut, you're gonna slide it down. That's probably about 2 millimeters or so away from the blue of the sensor, right about there, right? And that gives you, because I cut out the bottom on the model, so you can actually just pop it in right there, and you're still allowed to move the nut. You see, then the nut will still spin. Ta-da! I know, it was a pretty fun little thing I built for that model. Figured out that was actually kind of cool. So now I'm gonna make sure, I'm not gonna tighten these really tight because we're still gonna have to level our sensor against the bed towards the nozzle, just to make sure that we have enough clearance of the nozzle away from the bed, and that the sensor is actually getting, you know, triggered every time, and there's no far away from anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it about 4 or 5 threads. I noticed this is what my aluminum bed, that's when it senses. However, if I was to show you, it is actually 8 millimeters, just because it's aluminum, it still senses very well. It doesn't change the inductive sensor, the non-inductive sensor, sorry. It's a PMP sensor. So here we go. We're gonna tighten the one on the bottom. Again, you don't have a lot of space, so what you can do if you need to is just move this up, push it down, and then tighten it in until you need it. Again, remember, you only needed like 4 threads, so if you count the width of the nut, then you realize that then you need a little less now. I'm just gonna bring it back up and tighten it down. Remember, just enough is snug with your fingers. We're gonna have to move it later, so don't go nuts on that. Anyways, I'm not giving a particular measurement saying this is how you have to. Again, this was not created for this sensor. It's created for different sensor. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these ones. All right. So these are 2 of the 40s you're gonna use. Remember, you're gonna need 3 40s. One of them ties the entire motor and the actual carriage to the extruder, so your extruder doesn't have any like play on it. Really nice system. So 2 of these ones you're gonna use again to just put your idler tight against the body. You're gonna grab the spring, you're gonna put it on the bolt, you're gonna grab the hole, you're gonna put the bolt on the hole, and it doesn't have to be super tight. Again, remember, just enough to get resistance from the springs towards the idler. Okay? Pushing the idler towards the gear, and now you're just gonna move these one down. 1, 2, 3. Again, I usually just put a couple of turns, just enough that it's there, and you can see enough spacing in between these. Actually, if you were using the Prusa one, he's got a specific measurement in between the distances here. That's why I end up using bigger bolts. However, again, they work fantastic. So you can see my idler still moves. You know, and the cell capture nut right there holds it all together. I love this system. Anyways, you can see that. If you want to release just manually, all you gotta do is pull the tab and pull your material, and that's all you do. Anyways, so now we have most of the stuff already ready to be set. All we now have to do is now make sure that the wires are out of the way. So the first wire we're gonna address is our motors, right? We're gonna grab our motor. We're gonna make sure the wires are on the lip right here, and the little fan that you're gonna trap that with right here has a little wire, so make sure that you're not kinking that, right? We don't want to hurt it. Now if you just have the wires, if you don't have this type of thermistor and you just have the little wire, you know, the red wire, you might want to just push the thermistor forward right here and capture this wire for the thermistor also there. I know it's gonna look a little out of the way. However, it's not moving back and forth and allowing it to just loosen up those metals inside that. However, in this case, because I have this one, I don't have to do that. I don't have to worry about that. I'm just gonna put it to the side. So all the wiring that is gonna go in this channel is gonna be your fan and your motor in my case. In your case, again, I would recommend you to put the thermistor wire also in there. It won't look as pretty or stylish, but it will be out of the way. So now we make sure that everything is in there and that all the holes are, aligned and perfect. And now we're gonna grab our four of our 16 millimeter tiny ones, our little bitty ones. And we're gonna go ahead and tie these down. Make sure again they're not getting pinched, they're on the channel. And I'm going to tighten it down. Tighten it down. Anyways, so now you have all your fans ready. So the last fan we need to install is our 50 millimeter fan, which is the brushless fan. You're gonna utilize your 220s. At this point, all you should have left is 220s and 116. You're gonna grab the 220s. You see this little arm where you capture one of the nuts, and the other one is right here, the other capture nut. That's where this is gonna go. You're gonna grab your 20. Start with the one at the bottom. And make your life a whole lot easier. Plus you'll be able to swing it back and forward to make sure it's actually lined up to the other hole. Don't super tight it, remember again, you don't want to break or over tight any of these parts. And we're going to have enough, so we're using what we need. I'm sorry, I used the grab the 16 instead of the 20. Anyway, so you're going to put it right there. You're going to go ahead and tie the brushless fan. Yeah, this is when you put all those capture nuts. 2 of those nuts are to capture this particular fan. Alright, so that's what it looks like. It's steady. I only put again 2 because I didn't want to bore you to that. Anyways, so you're gonna grab your fan duct, which is your parts fan duct. Okay, this is your fan they use for your parts. You're gonna go ahead and grab the 16. You should already clean your part. Shove the 16 all the way in. And remember, this is plastic, so there is no actual threaded to it. So I would recommend you to go ahead and grab a little file and open it a little bit more. Excuse me. Open it a little bit more so you can actually find the thread easy. Go ahead, and you see this lip right here and this lip right here. Those two kind of just go on top of each other. And there it goes. And you're just gonna grab these and snap it into the fan. Alright? It should measure actually what the fan all its exit is. And then you're just gonna tie that down. Don't over tie it. Remember, that actually specifically is going to plastic, so make sure that you don't over tie that. Alright, so you see it's flush, it's tight, and it's there. Alright, so there you go, guys. This is the Mark II extruder with a bigger sensor. If you need to get these files, you can download them. I have them in Thingiverse. If you want to download the original for any reason yours broke, you can get downloaded from Prusa3D.com under plastic parts or printed parts. Anyways, so there you go. Alright, so that was pretty much it. This is the entire build-up. Now it's just left to put it on the carriage and tighten it all up. That's going to be a part of another video. I showed you guys how to build these. It's part of a guide to how to build RebeliX X type Prusa. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. I hope you like it. If you have any comments, please, write in the bottom. If you like this video, subscribe. We also have a Facebook group for 3D printing. Again, if you have any other questions, you can probably find us there. We have a lot more experts, so it'll be easier for you to get more answers. Whatever you do, workers for working for the Lord, not for human masters. Keep your glass clean, be kind to each other, keep on 3D printing. Have a good day.